In this video, I'll be introducing you to a vital component of the Remarkable Franchises framework, and that's what we commonly call the wealth spectrum. It's been developed like Talent Dynamics by Roger James Hamilton, and it does have a couple of names. So the wealth spectrum is one, the wealth lighthouse is another, and we often refer to it as the franchise spectrum. So we'll be looking at it as to what it is, why it's important, and how it links into the way that you can effectively support, coach, and mentor your franchisees in a really individual way that enables them to be more successful. Now, like Talent Dynamics, we've been working with the wealth spectrum for a long time. Talent Dynamics, we've been working with it with small to medium enterprises, business owners, franchisees and their teams since 2007. And we've been global license holders for that in the franchise sector. The wealth spectrum, that was developed in late 2012, 2013, and we've been working with it since its initial development. So it really is a very, very useful tool to get even more specific with the way that you can work with individuals at whatever level of business that they're at. And that's actually what we're talking about here. So why is it called a lighthouse, and why is the picture a lighthouse? Well, the thing is, there are different levels, and you can see them graduate there, and I'll go through them all, of course. There's nine different levels. The first one beginning in a basement level, and then the ninth one moving right up to the top of the lighthouse. And the reason for the lighthouse, as you move from one level to another, not only does your wealth increase and your success increase, but the level of influence also increases. As you move up the wealth spectrum, you actually are able to serve more people, as in customers, having employees, increasing your teams, right through until you have such a level of influence that you're like a guiding light, like a lighthouse light, guiding the way not just for individuals and your own business, but guiding the way for society and societies as a whole, so hence the lighthouse. So you can see that the wealth spectrum is a little like a ladder as well. And there are specific steps for business owners to take at one level to get to another level as well. And like climbing, you can actually go up, but you can also go back down as well. And we find that franchisees and business owners can move from one level to another quite quickly, but can also drop back depending on what's happening in their businesses. It also depends on the steps that you're taking in your business. If you're taking the right steps to move forwards, and there are very specific strategies to move from each level up to the next. So if you're doing those, then the franchisees will continue to step upwards. Should they do other steps other than the next necessary ones, then they're actually going to drop back down the ladder again. And this means that at each level, they're going to require not only different strategies, but a different level of support. They'll have different levels of success, and they'll also have different challenges and frustrations. So we will cover off at each level as to what those are, and the things that actually keep someone at a particular level versus the steps that they can take to get them to another level. It is really important when a franchisee is at one level that the guidance that they provide is appropriate there. If you're trying to provide advice and guidance to a franchisee from a higher level than where they are at, then that will just cause confusion, frustration, and if they actually try to employ those strategies or tactics, may actually send them backwards. So it's really important that all of the support that they're receiving and the mentoring and the coaching is at the right level for them, and it also relates to the Talent Dynamics profiles, which you have just been introduced to as well. So you can really drill down, not only are there 8 profiles, but there's actually 9 different levels. And the way that you need to deal with them is different. Let me give you an example. So let's just say that let's just start at a red level here, for example, and I'll explain what that is in a minute. But you can see that it's a square there. That's really intentional because it does relate to the Talent Dynamics square. So for example, a Lord profile, so it's sitting in that large amount of still frequency, if they're here, so on the side there, they will have a very different perspective or view from that particular part of the lighthouse than, say, someone on the point there, so maybe an accumulator profile. They'll be looking out on an angle and have a totally different view of what to do in the world, and they'll need to take different steps too to be able to go up their own ladder. The other thing is that a Lord profile at a red level also has a completely different viewpoint than a Lord, say 3 floors up at a yellow level. And so they're going to be needing to do very different things to be able to be successful at that level and move up to the next level. So you'll see a little more about how that flows when we get into the next stage. So let's just quickly let you know what they are. So first of all, we've got the infrared, which is the victim level. And you can see that that's the basement. When people are at this level, they actually can't see out. Hence why the victim level. So they've often will ask silly questions or just don't understand what you're saying. It can be very, very frustrating for them and for you working with them as well, because they actually can't see out of the lighthouse. Moving up to the second level is the red survivor level. Moving up to the next level is the orange worker level. And those 3 levels make up the first stage of the lighthouse, which is all about personal flow. And we're talking about personal flow of wealth here, taking care of their money personally and being able to live, survive, and then live comfortably. The second stage here is yellow level. Then you move to green level, the performer, and blue level, the conductor. And these 3 take into account what we call the market flow. So they're looking outside more to the particular market that they're dealing in. And then the top level, where we're really looking at global flow here, so massive change on a societal and global level, is indigo, which is the trustee, violet, which is the composer, and then ultraviolet, which is the legend. So let's find out a little more about each of these levels. So you saw on the wealth spectrum that there were those 3 levels that I've just covered off. The bottom one, which of course relates to that personal flow that I spoke about, is actually called the foundation prism. It consists of the infrared, the red, and the orange level. This is about mastering the amount of flow and wealth flow that comes into our lives. And as I mentioned, it's on a personal level. It's about the ability to create an abundant flow of money and of value through the life and through the franchisee's life, regardless of the market conditions. It's really important, if you have franchisees in this level, that they are taking care of their own money first and to take care that personally they're okay. Because if they're not, what you're going to see is their personal issues and money challenges showing up day in, week in their business. And whilst you may be trying to coach them on their business success or focusing on what they need to be doing in their business, when they really need to be in that foundation level because they're focusing on their personal flow, it's very hard for them to actually focus on the business in the way that you think they need to because of all of these other things. And they need to take care of those foundations in their personal life before they can grow the business further. When we move to the enterprise prism, and remember that one was all about market flow, so that's the yellow level, the green level, and the blue level. This is mastery of the wealth flowing through the market. So it might be their local market, it could be their state, it could be country, depending on whereabouts their franchises are located. It's about the ability to manage, to move up, to manage groups of people, to manage investments, and to manage their units, whether that's a single unit or then growing to multi-unit franchisee, and to manage those enterprises effectively to enable the flow of value and to leverage that and to bring more money into the business through the teams and actually through the marketplace. And then finally, when you get to the alchemy prism, which remember that was all about global flow, so the indigo level, the violet level, and the ultraviolet level, and we're only going to touch on this level today because it is of such a high level. We're sort of generally talking billionaires and above. This is the mastery of wealth flowing through society and the globe. and where money itself is actually generated, and where the rules of wealth actually are created and flow down through to the markets, to countries, to individuals. So that's the actual prisms.